Welcome, everybody. This is the Roundtable. We are 757 Geek Fandoms. I am your host, Jedi Joe, coming from you live. So I hope you guys are doing well. Hey, last weekend we had a little bit of issues going on, but we are back this week, and we are talking about nostalgia. Okay. People have different meanings of nostalgia, and so I'm going to start this off very simply. How many people with a thumbs up or a thumbs down appreciate nostalgia? Please identify your choice. All right, all right, good deal, good deal. Thank you, thank you. Not the first negativity at all. All right. Well, I just did a little bit of research, and of course, everybody has their own meaning of nostalgia. But what really got me is where it takes you back in time. It returns you back to past periods, uh, or a state of being homesick. So each of us could probably say that if you grew up with Star Trek, watching the original series, and then all of a sudden you started watching it again, you have a little bit of nostalgia going on. So let's go off of that feeling of being at home and that feeling of just wanting to do nostalgia on a daily basis. Okay, so I am taking this into a 5-part series. It may not be every week, but we are going to be celebrating about 50 years of nostalgia when it comes to the television. May throw in some other fun facts with you guys, things that you may be aware of, things that you're not. For those that actually posted and sent me ideas in regards to this type of stuff, I actually tried to look things up for you guys. So this show is basically y'all's input, and I just added my own little twist. So, due to our copyrights and everything, Mr. Calibus Rand, the owner operator of the Cosmic Portal, he is our biggest help. He will be punching up and giving you something special, and then we're going to talk about it. Calibus, when you're ready, sir.
All right, give me a second here. Don't go that. This is okay. Here we go. Now, remember, due to Facebook's copyright, I had to really shorten these just in case. Well, not Facebook, YouTube. I had to shorten these so you're only getting 1 or 2 seconds. And I swear the rifleman sounds like just bullets going off, but you guys will understand it when you see it. Here we go.
A quick memory lane.
Really short.
Yeah, but the funny part was I was sitting there listening off shows. Just in those little clips.
So I will start like this, guys. When we talk about nostalgia, what exactly does it mean to you? Mr. Brad, talk to me. What is nostalgia for you?
Oh, looking back at old stuff, 60s, 50s, 70s. I mean, listening to radio shows from the 40s, before there was TV, things of that nature. So I enjoy nostalgia.
Okay. Miss Liz, nostalgia for you.
Well, Brad pretty much took the answer right out of everybody's mouth. The stuff we grew up on, black and white television, color television, all the TV series we watched when we were kids. You know, it's so much fun, when you watch all the old Western shows and all that kind of stuff. You know,
Okay.
Twilight Zone.
All right. Mr. Mark, how about you, sir?
I'm going to have to agree with everybody. It's the same. The only thing I would say would be different is that with, back then we didn't have VCRs or what is it? The ability to record programs. So if you weren't there to see it, you missed it. So that would be a nostalgia moment for me. So just then I had to be home at a certain time so I could see a program, or else I didn't know what was going on to talk about it at school the next day.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Jakar, what is nostalgia for you, sir?
Well, it's funny that Miss Liz said Twilight Zone, because that's kind of what nostalgia is for me. It's another time and another place. It's being transported well back into childhood ages to where it was just a feel-good time with family.
Now that is a great answer. That right there is great. Mr. Calabas Rand, what is nostalgia to you?
Nostalgia for me is when you're sitting there and a particular song comes on the radio and it takes you back to your childhood or a special time in your life. TV can do it as well. Anytime that I see any of the old shows, I'm instantly transported back to being a kid in front of that TV.
Okay. Okay. So I like to actually let's take a little nostalgia in prices, shall we? All right. So I looked up what it would be in 1950 if we were living there today. Man, I think all of us would be living quite well. So what they said is a gallon of milk cost you 83 cents. A new car was about $1,500 an average. Now, here's the kicker. For some of y'all might throw up when I tell you this, but a gallon of gas was 18 cents. Okay. The average income was about $3,200 a year. And the average income or average household income was $8,500. So that right there kind of tells you life was a lot simpler back in the day. So please, first person that wants to shoot at this little quick trivia I have for you. In 1950, and all you have to do is put your hand right there in front of the mirror, front of the camera, and then I'll call on you. So in 1950, there was something that actually blew up in the entertainment field. That's the first clue. Does anybody have an answer for me? Go ahead, Jakar.
1950s was rock and roll.
Okay. Now I need a little bit more for you, my brother. You're almost there. Since you're almost there.
Would you like to rather hear it be the king of rock and roll? Mr. Elvis Presley, one of the greatest of all times. Is that what you were trying to get to?
Yes, sir. The winner, of course, is my little trivia is Mr. Jakar. Thank you so much for playing. So, guys, Miss Liz brought up a very, very good nostalgia for me. And it was talking about color TV and black and white TV. So my quick story, and then everybody else, please share about this, okay? So what is your fondest memory of a color TV and a black and white TV, or vice versa? Obviously, the black and white TV came first. Do you remember when you got your color TV? Calabas, please enlighten us.
My mother for Christmas, and I'll never forget it. I was like, I don't know, I was 9 years old. And me and my sister got these two little black and white TVs. Okay. I didn't get a color TV until I was, I don't know. And it was the one that my dad had that when he went out and got a new one, I got the TV being the oldest. I didn't get a color TV until I was 13, 14 years old. Okay. And it was a used TV and it was huge, you know, but that little black and white TV, you know, even though you only had the 3 channels and what was it? The PBS channel 15 here locally. Those were the only things on, and that TV was it, man. That until of course we got a game system, and then you had to put the little prongs on the back of it and turn it from TV to game system. And everything was still in black and white, but I mean it was Pong and stuff like that, so it was just the 1-to-1 ratio with a little ball bouncing up and down. That's what I remember.
Okay, Miss Liz. Before Calibus jumped in front of you, your turn is next.
Well, I'm a lot older than all of you guys, so I definitely remember black and white TV. And when we were growing up, a couple of our neighbors got color televisions before we did. And as kids, we would we would go over to our friend's house so we could watch the latest episode of like Bewitched or you know, I Dream of Jeannie, a couple other shows that were in color, but we couldn't get them in color because we still had a black and white TV, and we would go over to their house and marvel at the color television. Now, when we got our first color television was thanks to my dad. And Dad decided there was a big championship football game going, you know, one of the big ones, like the probably the Rose Bowl or some championship with the Michigan Wolverines or some kind of football game. It was the big game, let's put it that way. He went out and bought a color television so we could see the football game in color. And that's how we got our first color television. And that's also when we found out that Dad was colorblind.
Okay, very good.
Because he kept messing with the tone colors. He would turn the knobs and the greens and the reds and the whatever, and he was always adjusting it the wrong way. I mean, all of us could see that it was not. That's back when you had to adjust
no problem.
The knobs.
Awesome. Mark, what you got for us there, buddy?
So yeah, being a child, I can remember watching things in black and white. I guess I never really paid much attention, but I remember watching, trying to think of when I first saw color TV was probably at my sister's house. She had a color television and we would watch movies on her TV, and it was a big screen. So it was like, I think it was 27 inches. So that was a huge TV screen at the time over the 19-inch that we had that was black and white. And I even had a 13-inch black and white TV up until I turned 13 as well, when I got a color TV of my own, which was also 13 inches. But yeah, I just remember using that. I thought that was so cool to see things in color, even though it was just the 6 channels. But watching the old programs again, like Bewitched and all of that, which was colored, seeing it in color for the first time after watching it in black and white on the other TV. I was going to say the same because Star Trek I watched in black and white, and then when I got a color television, I saw it in color for the first time, which was really cool too. So those were my experiences with that.
Nice, very good, Mr. Jakar, when was your experience with a color TV and a black and white? We can't hear you.
There we go. Now it'll unmute. What the heck? All right. I'm a little bit younger in this crowd, so black and white for me wasn't there until I actually got a small travel TV. You know, the old TV with a radio, and took like 10 D batteries to run the thing for 2 hours. You know, that was my black and white TV. But I grew up playing sports, and we were always on the road, so we'd plug it in the locker room to watch the big game, and while we were between periods or something, you know. But color TV, my dad always had nothing but used TVs that we buy from old TV repair shops, and the one that I remember the most was this old Zenith floor model, wood panel all the way around it. I think that was a 20 something inch TV, which was a big TV at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that was my color TV.
That's awesome. I'm gonna jump back to what you said earlier, but I'm gonna let the other guys go first. Thank you, sir. Mr. Brad.
Well, being born in '70, the color TV was already out, and we had color TV in the living room, and we had a 13-inch black and white in mom and dad's room. So when mom didn't want to watch what dad wanted to watch, she'd go to the back and watch something else. I didn't get my own TV, in which I bought a 19 or 27 inch. I can't remember the size, but I bought a TV from the neighbors when they were selling. Sound gone again?
Yeah, you good?
Okay. Phone call came in, you know. The problems of using the cell phone for this thing. But yeah. I got my TV was rather funny. It was an RCA TV. If you put it on channel 7, you could get K94 radio station.
That's great.
Yeah, it was the only station you could get, but it would pick up K94 from Moyoc.
Okay. So, Jakar made me remind myself of something. My mom and dad had like he said, this radio combo. I think it was a cassette player too, with this TV screen about so big. I mean, it was in black and white. You had to be like this to see everything. And I guess that right here was high definition in those days. And my parents had one when we went camping from time to time. We had a black and white TV in the living room, and I never forget it. Mom and dad says, well, we're going to go to, I guess this is when Rent-A-Center came out. You could rent the TV and everything. So mom and dad rented a 19-inch color TV. If my memory serves me correctly, I think Battle of the Planets was on, and I started watching Battle of the Planets the same time we had gotten our color TV. Obviously, Battle of the Planets is not actually the show that's in our time zone, but that's what I remember. The black and white side of things I'm like y'all. I had one in my room, got it from a yard sale. The lady wanted $30 for it. I got it for $25 because my mom says, here, take $25, tell her this is all you have, and I'll bet you get it. And I'm like, okay. Mom was 100% right. That woman snatched that $25 out of my hand so quick. I thought, okay, well, good deal for me. And like y'all, put the Atari up to it, 3, 10, 13, 27, 33. It was great. And don't forget, we had to put aluminum foil on the edge of the antennas to catch everything. And then not to mention, you had to have the little bow tie in the back if you wanted 27 and 33. So that's my little story. So We're going to start going down memory lane. So we'll make this a little bit kind of fast. So I'm going to say a few. And these are TV shows that you may remember in 1950 or beyond. Might have caught up with them a few years later. So as you heard in the intro, thumbs up, thumbs down. Did you enjoy I Love Lucy?
Love it.
Okay. Did you love The Little Rascals? Okay. Classic Flintstones. Did you ever love the classic Flintstones? Okay. All right. Let's stop. Let's stop for a moment. Fondest memories in watching The Little Rascals. Calibus, we'll start with you.
Spanky throwing the money out the window. Little Spanky throwing that money out the window. There was Steiny and then there was Buckwheat. And of course, Alfalfa and Pete the dog. Yeah, those are it.
Okay. Mark and Mark, what you got for us, buddy?
All right, so there was a few. There was the one where the little kid kept saying "remarkable" to everything. There was a time, what is it, when Darla wrote a note and put it in the football, and Alfalfa didn't want anybody to read it, so wherever the football went, he went, and they threw it. He caught the football and then read the note, even though it was in she wrote in cursive. It took me a while to understand what she wrote, but he didn't find the information on that. And then there was the one episode where they got dirty, and I think it was the brainy kid had that solution that he rubbed on their clothes, so it got the stains out, but it made them smell. So they were kicked out of school, and they went to the movies instead. And then the movie people that were on the screen left the screen because they smelled, so they wouldn't even finish the movie. So those are the ones I remember. I used to love that show.
Okay. Miss Liz, how about you, darling?
Well, besides the one with throwing out the money out the window, which is a classic. When Alfalfa was trying to date Darla, and he got himself all dussied up, and he got the pulled flowers and tried to, and it was a total failure. And then of course when they were trying to clean, what was his name? The name of the dog?
Petey.
Pete.
Huh? Petey.
Petey.
Okay, couldn't remember I remember what the dog looked like. I just couldn't remember the name. And I remember when they were trying to clean up the dog. Yeah, they had this. They all were trying to get the dog washed up for something. I don't remember what, because it's been too many years since I've seen it. But yeah, that's pretty much the ones I remember.
Okay, not a problem. Appreciate you sharing. Let's see. Let's go with Jakar, please.
My favorite was when everybody thought that Alfalfa was just the greatest crooner. Couldn't hit a note to save his poor young life, but man, everybody just thought he was the greatest.
Oh my God.
That's my fondest memory of Little Rascals right there. It always had me cracking.
And Mr. Brad?
Oh, the one that always comes to mind is the one where they were running their own fire station.
No, yeah.
You got Spanky up at the front, being the siren and the bell. Dang, 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 dang. And that one always trips me out. But yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Okay. I've actually got two of them. One was the introduction to what was his name? Froggy.
Froggy.
Froggy, yeah,
Froggy.
Froggy.
Yeah, when he was coming in there with that big old, yeah, and it was like, really, this guy is talking like that. And then the other one is that here you have this group of kids that are kind of like the girls haters club, and you got Alfalfa on the background talking to Darla. I mean, if he ain't a player, and then trying to be like the guys, because it was just kind of funny how he was kind of, hey Darla, how you doing? And that pointy hairdo he had, that was just crazy for me. So, and of course, so some of the episodes that y'all just recently said actually started coming to mind. So that's where I went at with that. All right. So here we go. We're going to go through a few more real quick. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you enjoyed it or not. And then we may talk about one or two. Here we go. All right. I said Flintstones. Grew up with them? Yes or no? Okay, good, good. Beverly Hillbillies. All right, all right. Green Acres.
Green Acres is the place.
And last one we're going to stop at is Branded. Okay, so I am going to stop right there and ask you guys what was Branded, because I personally don't know. Miss Liz, take it away.
That is a Western. He was a father and he had a son, and he got in some serious trouble with the military, and he basically got, the boot. He got branded, and so he had to learn to live with it. I mean, it was just like, let's see, like dishonorably discharged, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Or like the scarlet letter. You remember the lady with the scarlet letter
Mm-hmm.
that got zapped because that kind of thing. And that's what happened to him. He got branded because
Okay.
he basically they considered him a coward.
Okay.
Even though
Okay.
he wasn't a coward, but he got branded a coward.
Okay.
And it was black and white, by the way.
Okay. And anybody else know anything about Brandon?
He was his whole troop went out, and he was the only one to come back, and they figured that he was a coward and he deserted his troop. You know what I mean? Under, I guess it was a Indian attack, and then when he came back, they took everything from him. You know, I mean, in the beginning of it, they show you him getting stripped down, and I love the theme song.
Hey, Calibus, out of curiosity, can you pull that up?
I could play 19 seconds and hopefully it won't get taken from us. But yeah, I can do that. Hold on. Here we go.
Okay. Well, while he's talking, let's see. I'm gonna go back a little bit. I don't think we talked much about it. So Flintstones for me was kind of a very influential show. My dad was definitely Fred Flintstone, and my mom came across as being Wilma. And it just the way they live and everything kind of reminded me of my childhood. You know, my mom stayed home, my dad worked all day, and yes, he looked like Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba doo, all the way home. That's just how my dad was. So, question to you guys: how did the Flintstones do for you guys? What is, say, maybe your favorite memory of it? Who did you watch it with? So take it away, Mark.
I just remember being a kid and watching the show. I usually watched it probably by myself or maybe with my niece at the time. But yeah, most of the stuff I just remember. I loved Dino, all the episodes with them. I love when the Martian came into the series. I know
Mm-hmm.
that would have been later on, but I thought they were funny with Fred and Barney trying to deal with the Martian and nobody else could see him. And I guess one of my favorite episodes is when the monsters moved next door and they wanted to try to get rid of them, and so they started being square and they moved away. So I guess those are my fondest memories of the Flintstones. Besides
Okay.
all the modern technology for that, being in the Stone Age was kind of cool.
Okay. Mr. Dracar, what about you, sir?
The Great Gazoo, the Martian in there, man. I knew as soon as you said it, I started laughing. Um, Mine, it was most any of the Hanna-Barbera, but especially the Flintstones was something that me and my brother would sit and watch. That was our time with the TV. Mom and Dad did their thing. So when Flintstones and that stuff was on, that was just me and him. That was our brotherly bonding time, and then we start beating on each other after everything was done.
Excellent.
Typical brotherhood. But
Excellent. Excellent.
kind of like Barney and Fred always fought, but in the end they kind of patch everything up. Just that's what I remember most about the Flintstones. It was a family thing. It was family time with my brother.
Yeah, you don't have to talk about Calibus that way.
But I can't help it, man. I love him.
Miss Liz, how about Flintstones, my dear?
Well, Barney and Wilma were, Barney was always my favorite because he was such a nice guy and he put up with Fred. He always put up with Fred. And every time I bowl, I think about Fred Flintstone. And every time I throw the ball down the lane, I think about Fred Flintstone. I don't know why, but it's there. It's stuck in my head. And
Twinkle Toes, right?
Yep, Twinkle Toes.
I love, of course, the Martian. Everybody likes the Martian. I mean, he was just, I always felt sorry for him because he had to put up with Fred and Barney, who were, not the smartest box of rocks in the world.
That's great. That's great. Mr. Brad, fondest memories. Flintstones, tell me about it.
Well, I usually watch the Flintstones by myself because nobody wanted to watch it with me.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Barney was my favorite.
All right. All right. It seemed like he was always so submissive, I guess. He like Liz said, he was a really nice guy, but he just seemed to be, I don't know.
He was a go with the flow kind of person.
Yeah. I agree with that. Calibus, what you thinking about the Flintstones, sir?
Pebbles and Bam Bam. Pebbles and Bam Bam. That was, Bam Bam. Bam Bam being the strongest baby in the world or whatever. Besides the shenanigans they got into every week and the adult content that was put in there that I didn't realize until a little bit later in life, but Pebbles and Bam Bam were my thing.
So before we go to Brandon, I'd like to share these two particular stories, and I think it'll bring back some memories for you guys. So one of the episodes that I remember the most was the one where Fred had multiple Freds, and as they were walking around, they were yabba dabba do. And that's all you heard, and he's just running around trying to find out how he can solve the problem and everything. And there's another one where he seems to go back in time. I don't know if Gazoo's sent him back or sent him to the future, but he actually saw Pebbles and Bam Bam as basically adults, and they're married and everything. I thought that was really, 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 really good. That's one of my two fondest memories. So hopefully, guys, that brought back a little bit of nostalgia for y'all when it comes to good old Flintstones. All right, sir, do you have Brandon queued up? Here we go.
Now, remember, guys, this is 19 seconds is all I can play, maybe less before Facebook, before they stop us, but hopefully you can hear most of it.
all but one man died there at Bitter Creek.
Okay.
So they tell that story, but as I recall, in the beginning of that, he was standing there, and the guy is just taking off all his anything marking him a military man. So
Okay.
it was one of those shows that really stuck with me through my childhood because my
Okay.
dad loved westerns.
Okay. Well, part of this show is dedicated to any of you guys that submitted to me on westerns. I know a few of you are here on the table with us. So, talking about westerns, let's continue. I have three more shows that I want to bring up, and then we'll be near our end. So, the next three shows, thumbs up, thumbs down, and we're going to talk about a few of them. Is, of course, the first one, The Rifleman. All right. All right. The second one, hey, Kimasabi, he's doing good. And I'm talking about the Lone Ranger. Okay. Now, this one's not as much of a Western, but he was a horse that had a lot to say. All right. So, beginning with the Rifleman. Real quick, what did you like about it? And because Westerns was brought up by Drakar, I would like to start with him.
All right. As far as the Rifleman goes, that was a family feel good show. It was the moral. There was always that moral in the Rifleman of being honest, being good, wholehearted family. I don't have a single actual episode that fully sticks out in my head, even though I still watch it.
Nice. Nice.
I mean, I still watch it. As you know, I take care of some gentlemen. Westerns are their thing, and we watch a lot of them still. And the Rifleman still comes on antenna TV 3 days a week. So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's just the wholesomeness of the Rifleman.
Okay. And real quick, did you enjoy the Lone Ranger?
Oh yeah. I mean, always getting the bad guy. That
And if
was always the good guy versus the bad guy. And the good guy always winning with the help of his compadre, which
nice.
To me led to a lot of other shows. But that's what Westerns are to me. They were the beginning of a lot of our different fandoms in the long run.
Nice. Nice. Thank you, sir. Mr. Mark, what about you?
Unfortunately, I never watched The Rifleman. I'm sorry, I wasn't into a lot of westerns. The only one I did watch was The Lone Ranger. I absolutely love that show,
Okay.
especially with the horse Silver, Hi Ho Silver, and his Kimosabi. But yeah, I never watched The Rifleman, and I've actually loved all of the Lone Ranger movies, especially the one that came out in the '80s, the early '80s. I really like that movie over the new one with Johnny Depp. But yeah, I'm sorry, I never watched The Rifleman.
Okay. That's no problem. Miss Liz?
I have very little memory of the Rifleman, but what I do remember, I liked. I was more into the other westerns. I loved the Lone Ranger. I was very fond of that horse. I love Kimosabi. He was always my favorite. And of course that classic line, "Who is that masked man?" And but a lot of the old westerns I watched, like Rawhide and Bonanza and Gunsmoke and Wagon Train and all that kind of stuff. Those are the ones I really watched a lot of when I was growing up.
Nice. Okay. Brad, how about you, sir?
I didn't catch the Rifleman until very late, like a couple of years ago on Me TV.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it wasn't a bad show. I mean, it was just your standard. He didn't want to use his gun unless he had to, kind of thing. So he'd only use his gun on special occasions. Most of the shows didn't involve a rifle. Um, it would just be either him or his son would have some moral thing they'd have to work out, and they
Okay.
worked it out. So
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
as far as the Lone Ranger, I listen to more radio programs of the Lone Ranger than I'm seen on TV.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. I was just recently recommended to some of the audiobooks, of course, again taking us out of our own genre and out of our time zone, but I heard there's some really good audiobooks and stuff like that and audio shows that have been referred to. Calibus, how about you, sir?
I liked it because it was a father and son. I always thought of me and my dad as the rifleman and son, and you know what I mean.
Mhm.
And back then it was I'm gonna tan that hide. You know what I mean. And he got it. The kid got whippings on the show. You know what I mean. So I could relate. You know what I mean. But it was that father son thing, in the Wild West, and my dad was a huge to this day every Saturday and Sunday morning, my dad is on the Western Channel, and that's what he's watching, unless a game's on.
Mhm.
That's it. So that's my memory of it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have two for you. The rifleman, of course. I remember getting up on a Saturday morning, and my father would about 6:30, 7 o'clock. He would be watching the rifleman, and he would just come home from work because he had worked early that morning. Yes, guys, my father was a dipsty dumpster truck driver. So he's the one that you would see in these trucks that would dump a dumpster. Very, very good entertainment, if you ask me. But anyways, he would come home and I would catch him watching the rifleman. I'd be bored out of my mind at the time. And then the Lone Ranger. Oh my gosh, that man loved the Lone Ranger. The funny thing is I think it had one of the best theme songs out, besides the rifleman and the just the gun shooting, but the good old what do you
Whale
call it?
Tail Overture.
Yeah, the theme song was great. But I had heard, and I think Brad or Mark, no, Mark said it, that they kind of rebooted or made a movie off of the Lone Ranger and everything. And I'm not sure which one that the Johnny Depp one did, but I kind of wanted to see that. I have a friend of mine that actually cosplays as the Lone Ranger, so his Lone Ranger looks really, really good. All right, guys, so we're getting close to the end of this timeline that we picked out for you. Again, some of the intro music you heard are actually the list that I'm sharing with you guys. Let's see. The last three that I have for y'all. And please, a thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we're going to end up talking a little bit about one or two of them. And of course, we have what is it? What was it? Every morning, Captain Kangaroo came on and started our day before we went to school. Let's see, thumbs up, thumbs down. I see a few thumbs up. All right, cool, cool. Everybody remembers picture page. You would get it in the daily break, and you could actually do the picture page with him while he was on live TV.
Thanks. Now
Uh,
the song stuck in my head.
huh?
I have the picture page of songs stuck in my head now. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Nostalgia, baby, nostalgia. Hey, we can't forget about the scary families. How about the Munsters? All right. And of course, the Adams family. All right. Well, we're going to start there with the Adams Family, guys. Of course, um, we have our original series that came out, of course, in the 1950s. We've had a couple of movies to come out with that. So, what is it most that you like the Adams Family? Brad?
The quirkiness of the Adams Family, because you've got all of this stuff that everybody else would think is just crazy, and they're doing it. So, you walk across the rug and the rug growls at you. All that fun stuff.
Okay. Miss Liz, yours?
I love the Adams Family. Even had the books from the back in the day before they ever made the show. They Charles Adams had done the books, the comic books, but they were in hardback and all of his comic strips. And my mother had the whole series. I think I've only got maybe one or two left. They all kind of, you know, and that was my first introduction to the Adams Family was the books, and I would read them incessantly, and the humor was just, oh my god, the dark humor was just incredible. I really enjoyed the dark humor.
Okay. Okay.
And of course, I've met a couple of those people from the show.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
I've met
Jakar?
3 so far.
Mr. Jakar, how about you, sir?
As far as the Adams Family goes, it's the fun house. Like Brad was saying, you walk across the lion skin rug and it growls at you and tries to bite your toe. It's a complete fun house. And the love between characters as well. I mean, you saw that in other shows, but not like Gomez and Morticia.
Yeah. I'm going to jump on your coattail here in just a second, but I'm going to finish it with everybody else first. Mr. Mark, tell us a little bit about the Adams Family.
I actually love that show, especially Cousin Ed, because he didn't talk, but everybody knew what he was saying since he just shook his head and did whatever he was doing. And then, the hand thing, and Lurch, who never made, he just said "oh" all the time and played the piano amazingly. So I thought that was just a great show, and I always wanted to live just like them. So I really loved that show as a kid.
Okay. All right. Mr. Calabas Rant.
Lurch, because like Mark said, he was always, he never really said anything, but it was always that growl. And of course, I loved like what Chemo here is saying, that hand, just that hand running around. You know what I mean? I couldn't figure that out. As a little kid, I'm wondering how they get that hand to, you know what I mean? Those were my fondest memories of it.
Nice. Okay. Brad, did that come to you? Did I get your response? I did?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, Adams Family for me, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, the theme song always grabbed me. It wasn't until the movies that came out that I really, really started to enjoy it. Of course, favorite two characters was, like Jakar said, was Morticia and Gomez. Oh my gosh, it was just how crazily lovey-dovey they were. And then not to mention Thing, the man with the hand, that was just so funny. The funny thing is very cool. If my wife really could do it, she could actually throw her hair over top of her face and partially be Cousin It. If she really wanted to be. She's actually watching you guys on YouTube, by the way. So just to let you know. But unfortunately, I'm bad. I'm more of the, and Wednesday Addams. Oh my gosh, she is my daughter from hell. she definitely comes close to that. Yeah, she is so much of a trip. So much of a trip. So, guys, I also want to shout out to Chemo. He is, I just met him, a part of our Star Wars family and everything. Chemo, you're always welcome to join us on the roundtable and, of course, the 757 Geek Fandoms. So, I really hope that you will join us. I have had an opportunity to be with y'all on the covert. So, good shout out to him. He does some wonderful work, and hopefully we'll see him on the roundtable again. So, guys, it is time for your look back into nostalgia. You've had a little bit of time and everything, or we've had a lot of time. So, your final thoughts on tonight's show, and what would you like to see more in the next coming years? Well, 10 years from now, 1960. All right, Brad, we're going to start with you.
Oh, there are a lot of shows that I enjoy watching. The old shows, because what's on these days is mostly crap. Um, so I like going back to the early '70s and watching Emergency or watching a Western or the Munsters, the Addams Family, things like that.
Okay. All right. Cool deal. And did you enjoy the show?
Oh yeah, I had a good time.
All right.
Oh,
Good deal. All right. Miss Liz, how about you, my dear? Your final thoughts?
Well, I love going back and watching the 60s programs. Now that I'm adult, sometimes I understand them a little bit better than I did when I was a kid. Let me see. We covered the Addams Family. Get Smart. Laugh In. Bewitched. All those kind of things like that. Those are all the shows, all the stuff that we grew up on. Mm-hmm. Oh, and McHale's Navy.
Okay. Well, like I said before, I hope.
Don't forget Man from U.N.C.L.E.
And I hope to overlap as we continue this particular journey.
It won't be every week.
Yeah, thank you. It won't be every week, but again, it is talking about nostalgia. Marky Mark, talk to us, my friend.
Oh, I thought this was a great show. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to when we do get in the 60s to talk about the original Batman series from the 60s. Get Smart, probably. I never watched the original Man from U.N.C.L.E. I did enjoy the movie, though, and whatever other shows are out there, especially the cartoons like Johnny Quest and Lost in Space probably came out in the 60s, Star Trek. Dark Shadows, I am watching that again now. So, yeah, I love those things. And like I said, I go back all the time and watch old programming. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else has to say about those shows as well.
Okay. Appreciate that. Mr. Jakar, how about you, sir?
Well, I said this in our show the other day when Calibus told me what we were going to be doing. This is probably one of the best topics that any of us can have because it's the beginning of our fandom. So I truly enjoyed the show tonight because it did give us a look back at, what Liz was watching when she was a kid and what we all got in syndication. But no, like my thing was a lot of Westerns. Like Calibus, his dad was into Westerns. My dad was into Westerns too. And Mark just said Batman, the original Batman, TOS, the original Star Trek series. Just the 60s were full of a lot of different great shows.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's great. Thank you, sir. I think I got last but not least, Mr. Calibus Rand.
I enjoyed it because it was a nice trip down memory lane, and the only thing that I really hate was that I wasn't able to give you guys, due to copyright situations, full theme songs. And I maybe could have found a maybe like a cover band of something and maybe slip that in, but you really wouldn't have got the full effect of it. But I think the 60s will be a great uh, a great way to explore stuff, like you said, because by this time we had so much. We had Trek, we had I Dream of Jeannie, all these great shows, Mission Impossible, Man from Uncle, um, even In Search of with Leonard Nimoy, but I think that was the 70s. So much to go through. So much to go through, and I look forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. And by the way, guys, I can't thank Calibus Ran enough for all that he does for us. The Cosmic Portal, him and I were talking about this kind of in our production part of it, and he kept complaining to me. He was like, "Man, Alan, I ain't got but just clips of the different theme songs," and I'm like, "Well, that means everybody's just got to pay attention a little bit and." Let's make it simple. Let's just give them a little nibbit of what used to be, and the rest of it they'll automatically get. So I can't thank him enough for what he does for the group, and of course, being a part of the covert over on the Priory. So he does a lot of great work, guys. For y'all that's watching us on YouTube, you can always check the Cosmic Portal out. Check out with Calibus Rand himself. Self-promoting, he can help you out a lot. Hope you guys will come back to that. Now, final thought, guys. Hey, nostalgia is something that I have been dealing with for the last year or two. It could be a song, it could be a show, and it could be just something enough to take me back for about 5 to 10 seconds out of my normal everyday ritual. And sometimes it can feel like being in the beach, being in the water, and this huge wave hitting you. But I'm talking about waves of memories, if that makes any sense. So either I'm getting older or I'm losing my mind. But guys, that is nostalgia. Again, we're going back 50 years. We started at 1950. The next time we get together, it'll be in the 1960s. Some of them may overlap. Some of them may not. Some of them will talk new. As always, guys, this is the Roundtable. Hope you will join us next week for a new topic. And then, of course, our continuing saga of Nostalgia TV. Guys, thank you so much and enjoy your evening.